President Obama's emotional appeal today on gun control and background checks clearly spoke to the heart. The question, though, is do his new guidelines speak directly enough, specifically enough, and forcefully enough to affect online purchases that some individuals use to evade background checks? As our Drew Griffin found out, like almost everything else involving firearms, the laws are complicated.
You can only buy a gun without a background check in the 32 states that allow sales between two private citizens to take place unregulated. And to find a gun in those states, there's no easier way than this website, the public marketplace that allows private gun sellers to advertise their wares to private gun buyers. Armslist.com calls itself the largest free gun classifieds on the web, and when you enter the site, you can see that it has plenty of guns for sale. It will first ask you to go to your state because only guns purchased within the same state by two private parties are legal and can be conducted without any background check. But they have to be private sales by two people in the same state and residing in the same state. And the gun we've selected is right here. A gun that is listed for sale for $2,100. It's a .308 rifle. In the shipper, it will not ship. They will not send it through the mail. This must be done in person. This is a gun that if you're in the state of Georgia, you could legally buy this gun without a background check right now. It is legal, but like everything else on the web, making things easier legally also makes things easier for illegal sales as well. Armslist.com has faced lawsuits arising from illegal gun sales facilitated by its website that were used in violent and deadly acts. Case in point, the tale of Jitka Vessel and Dmitry Smirnov. Jitka lived in a Chicago suburb, Dmitry in Canada. They met on an online gaming site, but things got rocky. That's when Dmitry began harassing her, threatening to commit violent acts. Jitka got a restraining order. Dmitry went to Armslist.com and got a gun. A completely illegal sale. Dmitry Smirnov, a Canadian, found a willing seller of a handgun in Seattle. Illegal because it crossed borders. And in April 2011, Dmitry Smirnov tracked down his former internet girlfriend outside Chicago and gunned her down. Smirnov was caught, pleaded guilty, and sentenced to life. Armslist.com was sued by the pro-gun control advocacy group, the Brady Center, whose legal director told CNN's Randy Kay, without the Armlist website, Smirnov would have never fired a shot.
Her killer was someone who could not obtain a gun legally. He couldn't go to a gun store. He needed an entity like Armslist to get him an illegal seller. Armslist is facilitating and enabling and profiting off of illegal gun sales.
The courts didn't agree. The lawsuit was dismissed, with the court noting Armslist does not sell, auction, deliver, or ship firearms. In other words, Armslist may have made it easier to buy a gun illegally, but in the end it was Smirnov and the gun seller who committed the illegal sale. The website also requires users to agree they're obeying the law and following the rules in their state. Armslist.com remains up today, posting 45,000 guns for sale right now somewhere in the U.S.
Drew, I mean, you bought guns online for other CNN stories. How easy is it to do without getting any kind of background check?
You know, if you're trying to buy a gun legally online, there's really just one pathway, and that is for two adults to be arranging this purchase within the same state. The seller must be a private person, not in the business of selling guns, and the buyer needs to be legally allowed to buy a gun. I can't be a felon. I can't be declared mentally unfit by a court. The problem is this is all just facilitated over the internet. There aren't enough cops, ATF agencies to keep on top of all these transactions, and it is easy to get away with if both the buyer and the seller break the law. Gun rights groups argue that that's the same with just about everything else, from guns to drugs to stolen merchandise. The website only makes it easier to commit crimes if you're willing to commit the crime in the first place.
And gun stores, even internet-based gun stores, they require background checks.
Correct. That is exactly right. If you're buying from a gun store, online or anywhere else, anybody who's a licensed dealer, you're going to go through a background check. There's no internet sales that take place through gun stores that avoid this background check. And that's what President Obama is trying to do. He says we're going to expand the definition who is in the business of selling guns. That's how he's going to expand the people who have to go through these background checks, Sanders.